The co-main event of UFC 296 is Alexandre Pantoja taking on Brandon Royval for the second time for the undisputed UFC flyweight title. Welcome to the Fight Franchise and our preview and prediction of this amazing fight that has been put together by the UFC. This is a fight which is taking place for the second time after these two fought 2 years ago, and is a rematch, but this time has bigger stakes as it's a 5-round main event for the flyweight title. We're going to break down this fight, give you our preview and predictions, and what do we think is going to happen in this fight, and who do we think is going to win. Let's look at the numbers and let's look at their recent history. So we've got Alexandre Pantoja has got a pretty good record recently. He's at 26 wins, 5 losses, and has gone on quite a really good streak of wins recently. His last 4 are as follows. Manel Kape won a decision, beat Brandon Royval, who he's facing UFC 296, by submission in the second round, beat Alex Perez in one of the best performances of 2022, starching him and just submitting him in one round, and it was over in 1 minute 30 seconds, and then went to war this year in one of the fights of the year against Brandon Moreno in a really competitive and fun fight where Pantoja got the deserved nod in my eyes and is now the undisputed flyweight champion. Brandon Royval, on the other hand, let's check out his record. 15 wins, 6 losses, and on the surface, not a very good record. But let's kind of break it down recently. Since 2020, he's joined the UFC, beat Tim Elliott by submission, beat Kai Kara-France by submission, which is a win which holds up really well now when we've seen how far Kai Kara-France has improved. Lost to former champ Brandon Moreno and lost to now current champ Alexandre Pantoja, which we'll go into that fight in a bit. Beat Rogerio Bontorin by decision, split decision. Beat Matt Schnell by submission, guillotine choke, and then Mateus Nicolau KO'd him. When we look at their kind of skill sets, very similar kind of skill sets. When we look at their physicalities, Royval is much taller and much bigger than Pantoja. Royval is very big for flyweight. He's 5'9", I believe. Pantoja is only 5'6", so there's a big advantage there. Both have got a pretty similar reach. The interesting thing about this fight, they both fought before. And the first time they fought, it was a very fun and scrappy fight where Pantoja got the win. But it wasn't as easy as just Pantoja getting the win. Royval was very good in that fight. The fight started and Pantoja kind of rushed in forward, striking, and then managed to get the takedown. But when it was on the ground, Royval did brilliant. He was scrambling, looking for leg locks and submissions and heel hooks. He was doing brilliant. He was threatening in these scrambles and on the ground. It wasn't as easy as Pantoja getting the submission. It was Royval doing brilliantly. And when they worked their way back up to the feet, I wouldn't say the more slick striking, but the more polished striking did seem to be coming from Royval's side, where he was going for spinning kicks, going for spinning elbows, going for kicks and going for other kind of stuff. Whereas Pantoja is he's a bit reckless in his striking. He kind of goes for broke and it works for him, and it worked against Moreno where he puts things together quite well, and his striking is quite... It's most of the strikers in flyweight have got really fast striking, really crisp striking, but his is a bit more forceful. It's like he's looking to hurt his opponents, and I'm pretty sure on multiple occasions he dropped Brandon Moreno, who TKO'd Brandon Royval, which is good news for Alexandre Pantoja's side. One of the interesting things, Pantoja has just become champion and beat a really good champion in Brandon Moreno. And the one thing they say is when you become champion, you become 30% better. Pantoja has probably become better after becoming champion as his confidence is boosted. And also, he's already beat Royval, which will give him even more of a confidence. But I don't think it's just going to be a smooth sailing as Alexandre Pantoja steamrolls over Brandon Royval. This fight is very close and can go anyway. Wouldn't surprise me if either won by TKO submission or if it went to a 5-round decision and was a war. When it comes to kind of like the physicality aspect, I feel like Pantoja's got a really good strength advantage, but then that size and length, Royval will have the kind of awkward strength, if you want to call it, and will be able to kind of manage his way out of certain situations and use his range to his advantage. The first fight, Royval did brilliantly on the ground, but when it comes to the finishing sequence, Alexandre Pantoja, when he got the back, dragged him to the ground, and just when he got that body triangle in, cinched up the rear naked choke and got the win. Do I think the same is going to happen? Potentially, actually. I do have Pantoja winning, and it's not really kind of a case of, do I think his skill set is immensely better? Not really. I just think Pantoja's mindset is just one level above Brandon Royval's. I think Pantoja's kind of got that dog in him, if you've got to put it like that, where he's willing to go to war. He's willing to kind of put himself on the line. You know, he's just a couple of fights ago, he was working, I think it was Uber Eats, and now he's world champion, and he ain't going to want to lose that world champion. And if I was going to predict this fight, I think it goes past the second round. I think it's going to be a scrappy fight. It's going to be a lot of grappling, a lot of fighting on the feet, and I think eventually Pantoja in the third and fourth round is going to get the stoppage, and I think it might be a TKO or a submission. I think Royval, he's a very good fighter, but I just think when it comes to like, he doesn't seem to have like the tenacity that these other guys in this division have, like Moreno and Pantoja, and even Figueiredo had it, where they're just kind of going to like, they're going in there to kind of hurt you and take you out of there. I know Royval has some brilliant submission wins, you know, submission against Tim Elliott, submission against Kai Kara France, submission against Matt Schnell, but Alexandre Pantoja, let's have a look at his recent kind of fights. He hasn't lost by submission since joining the UFC. So I think his submission defense holds up quite well. Yeah, he was getting caught against Royval in the first fight, but his submission defense is holding up quite well. And when you look at his losses, decision versus Dustin Ortiz at UFC 220, decision versus Davidson Figueiredo, and that was when Figgy was on his epic run, and decision loss versus Askar Askarov. He's got really good submission defense, and he's got a chin on him, and he's shown that. Yeah, he can get rocked, but he's got a chin on him. He hasn't been TKO'd, whereas Brandon Royval has had a TKO loss, submission loss, and submission loss to Alexandre Pantoja. So you've got to give the advantage and the edge to Alexandre Pantoja in that case. And on the run of wins Alexandre Pantoja has been on, the momentum is on his side. Manel Kape, Brandon Royval, Alex Perez, Brandon Moreno. Royval's in that list, and that's 4 brilliant wins. Royval's recent record, who's he beat? Rogerio Bontorin, Matt Schnell, and Matheus Nicolau. And Matt Schnell he beat by submission, and Matheus Nicolau got the KO. But I just think Pantoja, I think Royval might even be better he just might be a bit more crisp on the feet, but I think Pantoja's not going to care. He's just going to plow forward, and he's going to stick him with some hard punches, and he did that in the first fight, and he throws with vicious intent, and I think that will throw Royval's rhythm off. And when it comes to being on the ground, both are really good. Pantoja might just be a bit more secure and has that kind of IQ, not IQ, I don't know how to put it. They're both very smart fighters, but I just think he has that IQ where it's like he knows where to be in the right place in the right time. And tremendous chin as well, so I don't think he gets TKO'd. The other thing I will say is Royval, it's a 5-round fight. I feel like he'll have the better cardio. I'm not saying Pantoja doesn't have brilliant cardio. He showed it against Brandon Moreno, but he throws with vicious intent so he can get tired faster, whereas Royval, he doesn't throw with that much vicious intent, so he kind of, you know, throws at 60%, whereas Pantoja is going to throw at 80, 90 and 100% at times to try and take you out of there, which I think if Royval can exploit some of that burst of energy and try and take over the fight, that'll be beneficial for him. If Royval's going to win, I feel like it's going to be a submission or a decision, but Pantoja's submission defense has held up so far, which is why I'm going to go with Alexandre Pantoja wins in the third or fourth round by TKO submission. I just think he's not the more polished fighter. I just think he's the more kind of intentful and vicious fighter, where he's going to go out there and outdog Brandon Royval at the end of the day. Because at flyweight, the one thing you've got to consider, all these guys are so small and they're so technically brilliant. If you go through this top 15, speed, power, striking, grappling. They have it all. They're all very, very well-rounded fighters. Obviously, you've got some specialists like Mohamed Mokaev, who's a grappler, but they're all very well-rounded. They're all brilliant fighters. And I just think what separates the top of this division is your kind of mindset and how you go into fights and your will to win. And Moreno showed that. You could say Moreno had that dog more than anyone, and that's why he outdid everyone. Pantoja outdogged Moreno, which is what this division at the very top, skill-wise, they're all very similar. They're all nearly as good as each other. That's how close it is at the top of this division. Since Demetrius Johnson left, he was just another world. He was on another planet compared to these guys. But he was before these guys' time. But even now, his skill set would still hold up against a lot of these guys. But the very top of this division is all in the head, I feel like. And I feel like Pantoja has the mentality and the dog to outdog Brandon Royval and win and defend his title at UFC 296. And I hope he defends his title because he does seem like a fun fighter and a fun champion. And hopefully we get 2 or 3 title defenses from him next year if he wins. And I think he wins 3rd or 4th round submission or TKO. What is you guys' prediction of this fight? Do you think it's going to go the way I've predicted, or do you think it's going to go another way? And who are you backing in this fight? It's going to be a hopefully fight of the year contender. Pantoja's already gave us one. Hopefully he gives us another one. If it does go like the first fight and it's a 2-round war with grappling exchanges and striking on the feet, I can't wait for that as well because that was a fun fight. But we hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. What's your prediction? And we'll catch you in the next one. And if you've got any video ideas or anything you want us to discuss or talk about or make content with, let us know and put it down in the comments and we can kind of sort that out for you and arrange something. We hope you enjoyed the video and we'll catch you in the next one.